you? How are you tonight? This is Candice, or Sister Minh with Happy Catastrophe, and tonight I'm filming my completed pages for March. Yay! And there's plenty. I just wish there was a few more. I got so sidetracked with all the new pretty books that I got that I didn't get all my buddies finished yet, but I am scrambling with them right now, and I think a couple of my buddies and I are going to push it to April. So see if I can get these things finished. But let's start off with some fun stuff. Okay. How about this one? Gummy and Pecky. Is this not adorable? You saw me when I did a video on this one. This was a gift, and you saw me unload it. You saw me unload it, unflip it, unbox it, flip it. And the page I did in Gummy and Pecky was this one. Isn't that sweet? So I don't know how to do all those special effects, but I really want to be able to do all those special effects. So I didn't realize this was going to be a day picture, and I did all this stuff, so I didn't change. I didn't use darker markers because it was going to be a day shot. And then I used the wrong blue for the night, for the sky, and it just looked like nighttime. So as I kept going and kept going, I had it all finished. The table, a lot of this is altered. I added the pattern in the curtains. I put, of course, the stippling shading in the bushes. The stars came after I realized it was going to be night. I added the wood table because I was going for something else and I messed up. So I had to cover some spots. So I just decided to make it wood grain. And then I realized it looked like a night scene. So that's when I added the stars, and then looking at it, I was like, but this was all too bright if this was a night scene, but I'd already colored everything. So I used the Faber-Castell oil. No, I did not. I used some dry pastels, just some regular pastels, because I figured it wouldn't be so opaque that you couldn't see through it. And I did pastel dark blue over in like how the light would shine. And I think it works. Yeah, I think it's okay. And then I did some shading on the bear, a little bit on the bird. But it was starting to get messy. So I just sort of called it a day at some point. I gave them glasses of milk. And I think I kind of like it. It was an easy way to create shadow, was just using some dry pastel. Now, I had to spray fix it 2 or 3 times to get it to where it wouldn't rub off when I put my thumb on it. So it had to be fixed really well. But I kind of like it. I kind of like it. It does look a little dirty, the pastel does, rather than if it were, if it were colored. If you just used a darker shades, it would look much cleaner. But I guess that's a look. And then you can see the wallpaper. I made like flowered wallpaper, which is now covered up completely with, with the pastel, but there's flowered wallpaper in there. So that was my first page. This was an untouched book. And thank you, Tanya, for this wonderful gift. I am enjoying this book every time I open it. So you'll be seeing more pages out of this. What a beautiful gift. All right, let's see what I did next. Okay. So in another cute and cozy book, I colored a page out of this gift, Fuzzy Hygge. This was a gift from Anonymous, my first Anonymous subscriber. So this is A1. So A1 gave me this wonderful book, Fuzzy Hygge. And funny enough, I did a night scene. So I did this one first. So I had it figured out at one time, but here it is. And of course, I saw this effect done somewhere else. So what it is alcohol markers, and that's it. Nothing else but alcohol markers. So this is just like a darker shades of alcohol markers. So where I used a light brown for the frames and hues, here I used a darker brown there. And I started by drawing a line using a ruler and kind of lining out where I think the glow from the monitor would be. And then everything in here I colored like normal bright, and everything out here I colored dark. And it just gives this great illusion of a light being shined on them, huh? I did the pattern in the couch, and that's the only thing I altered. I gave them cheeks. But this is a super simple, probably one of the simpler ones, treatments, because I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just using darker colors. And it was fun to like follow the line and do like darker browns here, lighter browns here, a darker blue here, and a lighter blue here. And just as it came together, it got a life of its own, and it was really fun. Now, I did forget to make it look like it was glowing off their faces. And I have chosen another scene in another book that's got a light shining on faces. And I'm going to try to make it so that the light's glowing on the faces too. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. So what do you think, A1? It's pretty cool. Oh, and I did put the striped wallpaper, although that kind of looks like blinds, like hanging blinds, which is fine by me. So yeah, this was fun. These books are turning out to be quite a challenge. They're not simple like I thought they would be, and they are super fun. All right, let's see what I did next. So in keeping with the more simpler stuff, I did a couple color by numbers this month. And one of them was out of this older Eclipse book that I have. Now, I really like this book. These are African animals. And the coloring is really pretty. The colors chosen is really pretty. So it's a lot of fun. And this was the first one I ever bought of his. So I have a lot of experimentations with alcohol markers and water-based markers, and I have gone pretty much strictly to acrylic in all my color by numbers just to cover the numbers. So these are just all samples of what I've done in the past. I love the elephant. The colors are great. And the giraffes are good. Now, this was the one I did this month. The giraffes was the first one I did in acrylic, and I really like that you can't see the numbers. So I did this scary gorilla, my gosh. And his eyes are uncolored on purpose. They don't have a number in them. So this is a spooky, spooky one, but I really like the colors. They're a little odd, but the blue is cool. So yeah, that's what I did this month. And these Eclipse books, I could do an Eclipse page every day. I love these circles. They are so meditative. He does some of my favorite color by numbers, but definitely on the premium paper. I've gotten his before, not on the premium paper, and I've given it away and rebought it with the premium paper because it's shiny, but the pens just work so well on it. Instead of absorbing into the paper, they sit on top of it and just make these nice, strong colors. So this is a fun one. It's got a lot of earth tone colors to it. If you like this is Asili Zuri, which is the African animals, and it's Eclipse Circulism art books. All right, let me show you another one. All right, so in this lovely book, this is a compilation of the 3 different witches book by Usiku. I don't know what's up with my Englishing tonight, but this wonderful book was a gift from Emily Colors, and I just love this book. So we got into, there's a group of us. When I say we, there's a group of us. And there's about 15 people in the group. So I'm not going to show all their pages because that's just a bit much. But you'll be seeing these pages popping up on Instagram, I'm sure. And if you have the Life of Witches, the trilogy, you can have them separate or in this compilation book. The 3 books are Witches, Year of Witches, and Witches Around. So if you've got them, you can you can reach out to me, and I can't remember off the top of my head who started the group, and I can let you know so that you can join the group if you want. And also, if you've got this book and you don't know where the 3 books start and end, I do have a video that goes through this book and tells you what page goes to what book, so you can figure it out there. But we did a page from the first book, Witches, and we did this one. And I didn't do a lot of change, a lot of fancy stuff to it. I'm still learning, as you know. This patterning was already in the curtains. I made it, it's the two sisters or two girlfriends. I'm switching it up back and forth, sitting looking outside, and it's raining. And I did do the special effect with the white Posca there to try to make the rain look like it's hitting the windows. So those, all the ones with white on it weren't on there. So I used a black pen to make the streak and then a white dot to try to make it look like it's hitting the windows. I did add the white dots on this to make it look more homemade stitched. Nothing else did I add. Oh, I added the polka dots on their sweaters. I made them wearing polka dot sweaters. And then just highlights. And I really enjoyed it. I'm still not sure what I'm doing with these light bulbs, light bulb light like this, but I never know. I do something different every time I see hanging lights. But I like what happened here kind of accidentally. And I really enjoyed this. This page was so much fun. I enjoyed it from beginning to end. So I'm really looking forward to the page we're doing for this next month. So yeah, so this is Witches and by Usiku, and keep an eye out because some of my coloring buddies did such amazing work on this page. You're just going to be blown away. All right, let me show what I did next. All right, the next book that I did a page out of was in this beautiful book. Now, I haven't even shown you that I purchased this. I found this, I'll do a video with a flip through of this. I purchased this used, but it's like new, like it was not even touched. It wasn't even cracked open. And it's an absolutely gorgeous book. Now, many of you have it. I've seen it before. I wasn't interested in it. And then my coloring has changed. I've evolved a bit in my tastes. And now this book was perfect for me at this time. And the paper is so wonderful. So I'm in a group. I'm in a lot of groups. I'm in a group that colors a page out of this every month. And I'm behind. They've been working in this book for, gosh, a year and a half now. Just quietly coloring a page every month. So I just decided to pick a page, and they have done this one. This is the very first page in the book, and I decided to pick it just to try my mediums out. So I've tried a few things in here. I wasn't really going for cohesion or a palette or anything. I did try to keep it within, a dozen colors. But mostly I was just trying different things out. These, if you don't know, these pages are single-sided. When you have double page spreads, you will have a blank page because then you go into the double page spread. It's just a really neat book. So I did use some alcohol markers. I did use, and both sides were single-sided. This is just the intro page. I used acrylic markers. I used acrylic paint. I used Languo gel pens and fine liners, and I used those Faber-Castell oil pastels that were gifted to me. I received them and immediately said, I gotta use them, and I put them down here for the grass. And it's shiny because it's been fixed so that the pastels don't come off. So yeah, I had so much fun coloring this. I just dove right in. But I didn't do any shading or anything. It was all just flat coloring. And I may not do a lot of shading in this book because of the way the shapes are and the style that it is. This is a Japanese artist, and yet it's kind of a Swedish, Norwegian style, kind of, And so I like that, kind of a folk art look to it. And so I'm keeping it kind of flat, which I might change that up. But for now, I'm keeping it like that. I like it. So that's what I did in March, and I really, really loved it. And now I'm just going to start with the group, what they're doing in April, and I'll do that page with them and grow forward with them. So if you're interested, I can put you in touch with who's in charge of that group if you want to join us on this little journey. All right, let me show you what I did next. All right, I'm in a horror coloring group led by Fiction Kitten, and every month, the group selects several photos from different books because not everybody has the same books. And those are the pages chosen for the month, and you could pick none or one or all of them, but they're suggested pages. And I usually try to do at least one. I'd like to do a lot more, but my plate gets pretty full pretty fast. So I pick one from there. And the one I chose this month was again out of Undead Academy. If they ever choose a page out of Undead Academy, I do that. That's the one I do because I love, love, love this book. And the last one we did was this one, and I never was very crazy about it, so I really wanted to redeem myself on this one. And I think I kind of in love with this. This is Professor Kelp. Professor Kelp is the music professor. His music lab is under the lake, so the students use various potions, whatever they have mastered, to be able to breathe underwater to go to this class. He is a wonderful teacher, but a little high strung. And sometimes, and he likes to play, he's teaching music, but sometimes his favorite song is Flight of the Bumblebee. And if he starts playing that song, the students usually sort of carefully exit and leave class early because he gets lost in it. And he completely forgets he's teaching a class, and he relives his glory days in the Viking era when he would pull Viking ships down underwater and drag the human victims to their watery graves. So he's a little nutso. Now, in this one, I, of course, used alcohol markers. I went back to basics. I had really felt like I overdid the other page because I was trying different mediums. So I went back to alcohol markers, but I didn't use them for everything. He is actually Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils. So I tried, I did watercolor pencils for him, and I really think it turned out well. And then the background, like this is also some of those watercolor pencils with polychromos on top. So where there isn't alcohol markers, it's all Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils with polychromos on top. And on top of some of the alcohol markers, I also have done more shading with the polys. I do like polys. The polychromos are my favorite pencils. But then this watery background, I was like, well, he's green, everything's green. I don't want to make this bright blue water. I have put him underwater, and I decided that it needed to be murky like a lake is. And so I used various greens and browns of inks. And I just applied them, with a brush. So I took the ink pad, put the ink on there, and then I usually use like a piece of paper, and I start rubbing on the paper and then move off. Not there because I didn't go over the drawing, but kind of move off like this. And I used a smaller one, obviously. This one's very large, but I used small so I could get into these small little spaces. And that's what I ended up doing for the background with the ink. Now, I am not good at applying ink to make it look smoothly, without marks. So I use that to my advantage. Instead of trying to make a nice, smooth, even application, I on purpose made it, just blobs of color to give that kind of murkiness feeling to it. And I really, really like him. I think he's a lot of fun, and I like his story, and I just think that he's a great addition to the Academy. Yeah. So what I'm doing next month, and this is in my April plans video, is this one. And I've made her the history teacher, history of magic teachers. This is Professor Carrie Ann Crow, but I can't remember at this time who I'm doing this with. So I did put out a plea in the other video, and I'll put out a plea in this video. What group am I doing this for? If you can remind me what group I was in when we selected this one, so I can put that down because I can't seem to find it anywhere. But I think she's great too. This whole book is fun, and I'm just making up stories for every page and making it into its own school. So because it's like a dark Harry Potter, Hogwarts type school. All right, let me show you another one. Okay, my next completed page was out of Sea of Colors coloring book. This is a small group of us that are coloring Angela Gonzalez books pages every month out of one of her books. She has a few books, And this month, for March, for St. Patrick's Day, we decided to do an octocon instead of a leprechaun, an octocon. So we did this lovely little octopus. Now, this guy, this is all alcohol ink. It's my Copics, but then I used some of those new glaze pens that I was so generously gifted. So the green glaze pen for him, and then there was like a silver gray glaze and a red glaze in there for those gems. And then the glittery stuff is the glitter pens, Shuttle Art glitter pens that I was also gifted. So they made for some shiny glittery jewels. And then I just did sort of a dotting effect with various browns of alcohol markers and then a white acrylic paint pen. Oh, and here's some red glaze on that starfish. And I just sort of went with really deep colors. I added the bubbles. I just used a white acrylic marker that I knew wouldn't be opaque, and then I just sort of pressed my finger on it to make it, when it was right after I applied it, pressed my finger on it to make it just a little bit more. And then I did something to the middle. I used a clear glaze pen that was from the Jelly Roll set that was gifted to me, and I put clear glaze in there. And that was my octocon, leprechaun octocon, yeah. My St. Patrick's Day octopus, isn't she cute? The page that we're doing for April is out of a different book. So you'll be seeing it then, and I'd like to show you what my buddies did. So let's take a peek at them. All right, so the next book that I want to show you is brand new to me. This was a gift from two wonderful sisters. This is from Carrie Kay Carrie, and her sister Mindy, who is Coloring with Cats Among Orchids. And they gifted me with a few books, one of them being Becky's Beaver Needs a Barber, which I still haven't colored out of. And there's a very funny flip through when I opened these gifts of that book. That book took me by surprise. Those ladies knew I would open it live, so that was funny. And they gifted me this beautiful book of Summer Nights. I absolutely love this one. And so we did, let's start with this page. We did this page, which is a lovely girl. Let's see if I can get us more in. My setup is a little odd this evening. I'm filming this over a couple of days, so you're probably seeing my shirt sleeves change and the background change. But I loved her. Now, there's a lot of the Languo acrylic, Languo gel pens. That's what's doing a lot of the embellishment on her clothing, the white in her hair. Actually, that's a white acrylic pen. Taking away all the lines. And then what I colored her with is Albert Dürer watercolor pencils. This was really easy, actually, and really fast and fun. I really enjoyed her. These colors, this is about as pastel as I ever go. I still had to put some, some bright colors in there. But I tried to go a little bit more pastel and pinky, and I like it a lot. I think it's nice. Sometimes I tend to do too much with Hannah Carlzon's pages, and I think this one just skirts the edge of that. So before I go on to the opposite page, because whenever I do a Hannah Carlzon, I also have to do the opposite page, let me show you what Carrie Carrie and Mindy did. Aren't they beautiful? I love what they both did with their cats. I sort of phoned it in on the cats, but then again, I thought they were kind of simply drawn anyway. So I just gave them, you know, it's a little bit of shading and then took away the black lines with some of those gel pens. But then while things were drying, I worked on this side. So this side was just a key. That's all it was. So I took the same colors I was using here and went over here. And then I added, it was just a key and it was really boring. So I added some of the red glaze pen again that was gifted out of that pack. And then I had a pen with a little bit of glaze on it. And it was like, a key with a little bit of glaze on it. And I'm like, what am I going to do with that background? So I just started doing things to it. Like I first thought, oh, I'll just do the corners because I saw someone do that once. And this is an oil pastel. I believe these are the Faber-Castell oil pastels that were also gifted to me. Yes, because I did quite a few pages with those. So I used those and they were nice, but then I thought just the corners wasn't enough. So then I brought some yellow in on the orange and that was nice too, but it still left all this white. So I thought, well, maybe I'll do some fake bokeh stuff with some gel crayons that I could just go choo, 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 and then just sort of smear a little bit. And that was kind of silly, but it was all right. And then I thought, you know what? The only thing that's going to save this now is just to pile on the stuff and make all of it look very multimedia, but intentional. So I started grabbing some stencils. And so I had a swirl stencil in there, as you can see, and I did use some gold Memento padded ink for that. I just padded the ink pad on the stencil. And then I had some dot stencils that I used, and that is another color of ink, another Memento ink, not shiny. And I just did those two stencils around, and then I took some gold paint. Now let me show you what I got. I got this from, did I get it from Mary Artist or Amazon? I think I got it from Amazon. This is Winsor & Newton ink gold. Now it's just kind of gold pigment suspended in water. So you have to shake it really good, but it's super bright and shiny. And it's wonderful added to paint to give it a gold sheen, or by itself, or on top of things, or as what I did with it. And you have to shake it every time you dip your paint in there. If you're using it straight out of the jar, you got to shake it every time because the gold filters to the bottom. But the way I did it was I put it on a paintbrush and then I splattered. I flicked it like you would a toothbrush or something. So there's gold flicked all over. And then I thought, well, that looks like fun. So I took, I flicked some red on there somehow. I think that's just red paint. And then these red dots are that red glaze pen again. So I just kept layering different stuff and more stuff, and until I felt like enough of the white was covered. And that was a lot of fun. It was fun to just let go of it needing to be clean and neat, because that's how I usually color, and just have fun with the background. And now I'm looking forward to more pages like this, where I can just do fun stuff with the background. The only rule I had was to mirror the colors that I had already used in the key. So it was reds and orange and yellow. So that's what I did. Red, orange, yellow, a little bit of reddish brown in there, and gold. So it's got some shimmer to it. So that was a lot of fun. It does not, now it no longer matches this page. It did when this key was all by itself, it matched the flowers. But now with all this, that's a lot more browns and oranges than I have over here. But it still was a lot of fun to do the two pages together. And it's just, you know, I use mediums that have to take time to dry. So it's a win-win for me, because if I keep working at it, I always smudge things that aren't quite dry yet. So if I just leave it alone and pop over to this page and work on this page for a while, things dry over here, and then I just go back and forth. So I like doing that. And that's also 2 pages done in my brand new book, my untouched book. Yeah, so that was Summer Nights by Hannah Carlson. Okay, out of this wonderful book, Strangely Bound, we're starting to see more of these with the just sort of chipboard glued onto the book. This is an art therapy one, and it's Hatchet Heroes. This is the teeny tiny itty bitty spaces coloring Coloriage Mystere. It's Fantastiques. And I did this with a buddy, but my buddy hasn't quite finished yet, which is perfectly fine. There's never any pressure to finish. So I'm just going to show you mine. First, I want to show you the other ones I've done out of here. The first one I did was this one, and you can see how well they look with the painted sides. I painted it black. I forgot to do that on this month. So just imagine the one I'm going to show you with these painted black. I'll do that after this video. And then the next month I did this one. This was last month. I'm just really enjoying these. So this was for Year of the Snake. And I didn't know what it was. I just start these pages without looking at the answers because I like to be surprised. These ones are really, I mean, you cannot tell what they are. I mean, they look like that. They're very hard. But this time, me and my buddy did this one. And I believe this is the direction it goes. I think they all kind of go this way. And it's some kind of crazy beast climbing on a cliff. Heading my way, kind of a dragon bug thing. I don't know, big tooth thing. It was a lot of fun. And I use acrylic markers for these to make them really pop and to get rid of the lines. And then, and I use whatever I have. This one here is probably the Tule Arts. There's some Tule Arts. There might be some no-name stuff in there. Especially for the bigger stuff because I don't like to use my Tule Arts for these big spaces. And then the Guangna gel pens work really, really well for these little tiny spots. So I use them a lot too. And I really had fun. These things, because they're so detailed, they come out really spectacular. And I am going to paint this black so you can cover all my mess and my notes here. I guess they're all demons and monsters in this book. I didn't get that Fantastiques meant that they would all be evil demons and such. So maybe I'll get to one that isn't quite so scary, and maybe I won't. Maybe they're all like that. But I am having a blast doing these color by numbers. I'm not going to do one for April. I say now. That may happen, but I'm using April as a catch-up month because I have more whips than I've ever had, and I didn't finish several buddies, so I'm using April to get all caught up on that and trying not to start too many new pages. But I always have a color by number going on in the background, so sometimes it's this one. So that is the Coloriage Mystere Fantastique. I bought this used off of Mercari. You can find it. You can find it pretty easily. I think you can find it even new. I just got it used because I wasn't sure I'd like it, and turns out I love it. I love it to pieces, and I don't think there's any colored, wait, what's that one? Yes, this one was done before, but I think they did a great job, so I'm pleased to have it there. And she's not too scary. I don't know who she is. So, yeah. Anyway, the finished pages, the spoilers, I mean, they are in the back. So if I get lost in a page or I cover up a number and I don't know what color that was supposed to have been, I can check it. And that's the only time I really look at the finished until I get to the end of the page. I like to get all the way to the end without knowing what it is. That's so much fun. All right, let's see what I did next. Okay, you saw this recently in a flip through video I did of 3 Art of Coloring Disney books that I purchased very cheap off of Mercari. And this one I'm absolutely obsessed with. It's so much fun. I'm having so much fun making it all pop and everything and just having fun with color. So you're going to see a page I did in March and one I just finished in April because they're side by side. So this is the one I finished in March, and this was for Jordy Colors, hashtag color the fairy tales 2020, March 2025. And the fairy tale she chose for March was Snow White. So this is Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. We have Sleepy because his eyes are kind of at a half mast there, and Grumpy because he's angry. And I believe that's Happy. And this is Doc, of course, the glasses, and Dopey because he's got big ears and no hair. And then this guy here, I think, is Sleepy because, no, this was Sleepy. This guy, what we have Bashful and Sneezy. So one of these is Bashful and one of these is Sneezy. So I had so much fun with this, and I'm having so much fun. And again, because I was working in acrylics that needed dry time, I worked on this one and had just as much fun. This paper is pretty good, but not the greatest. You have to be careful with water mediums. And like, what I mean careful is you can't take like an acrylic paint pen and do this. You kind of have to go one direction and maybe once back if you need to, or, you know, so, but it's better to do less scrubbing and do 2 layers instead, because if the paper gets too wet, it pills. But once I got the hang of it, I had no problem. So this is all acrylic markers. And then the gold is also an acrylic marker of some sort that I had. It might be the Posca gold. I think these are 2 different golds. I have a lot of acrylic markers that have a gold pen in it, so sometimes I just use whatever I can grab. But so it's really shiny and reflective, and I just wanted to make it fun and very, you know, pop art type, which is what all of the pages in here are. And then I did this one as well. And you all helped me figure out who the characters are. I am starting to learn who they are. I still don't know this one. I just guessed on the coloring. Oh no, that's Dale. It's this one I don't know. And that dog. But I can look them up. I found them online, and I can find these exact Tsum Tsums because they're Disney. They're sort of copyrighted and everything. So, you know, Ham the pig will always look like this. Dopey will always look like that unless they dress them up for the holidays or something. So I can find who they are and find their coloring. Like I knew that this was, after looking them up, this is Cinderella just by the cut of her hair and such. Excuse me. And Pinocchio, and this is a detective guy. Anyhow, I find them online to find what their colors are. And then the backgrounds is where I'm having all the fun. So I'm having more fun with the backgrounds than the actual Tsum Tsums. The Tsum Tsums are just, I mean, they're cute, but they're just sort of like, I got to just do them to get the page done. The backgrounds is what I'm having fun with, because anything goes. So, you know, these backgrounds are nuts, but anything goes with them, and you can just play. You can collage, you can make patterns on patterns. Now here you see some bleed through. That was the Guangna, I think. It was one of my new acrylic marker sets. It was either the Guangna or the Lango. I got both of those to compare, and I'm putting together a video for you on that. And they're so juicy. You have to be careful with those. Poscas do not bleed through, and neither do most acrylic markers. Thule Arts don't bleed through, but those 2 new, maybe because they're new, maybe because they're brush markers, and brush markers have to have a more liquidy formula to come through on the brush, where the ones with nibs can have a thicker formula. So that more liquidy formula did bleed through. I'll do these in acrylic markers too, so it will be fine. So yeah, I'm going ham in this book, crazy. I did complete another one in one evening in April, this just last week. And I have another one started. So you'll see those in April. But I love this book. This book has sort of become my my color by number that's on the side. So when you need a break from something heavy, I start a page in here and do something fun with that page, and just start coloring. It's once I figure out what I want to do with it, it's pretty mindless. So a lot of fun. So great book. And that's Disney Tsum Tsum. You can find this used everywhere. You can, and then they're like new, because most people got them because the cover's cute, it's cute, and then they didn't know what to do with the book. So I see it everywhere. I think you can even buy it new, but if you can't, look on eBay and Mercari and everywhere else, and you can find it in, this one was completely uncolored, so you can find it in great shape. All right, let me show you another one. Okay, so while we're talking about crazy pattern background books, let's look at the Jungle Book. Okay, this was the one that I'd seen forever, and I kept thinking about getting it, and then I'd see it flip through, and I'm like, no, I don't think it's for me. And then I just kept looking at it for like a year. And finally I got it used for a super cheap price on Mercari. And then I saw the potential in it. The cover is beautiful. And it's based on the original, not the Disney. This is based on the Rudyard Kipling book. And it's got a lot of the doodly stuff. This was the only part that was colored. And what I did was, this was for the joy of coloring and joy, finding joy in coloring. Candice, put the name up. It's Jamie's new channel. And she is doing this hashtag. Let me make sure I got it right. Oh, finding joy in color. There it is. Finding joy in color. Sorry, Jamie. And it's hashtag the wild year of color 2025. And she chooses an animal every month. And in March, it was monkey. Can you tell? I saw this page. I knew immediately this is the one I wanted to do for her hashtag. Yeah, it's all monkeys. So I started with the background, and I just picked a really dark green and a lighter green, and then a green, the grass green color in the super golden markers. And that's just what I did first. It took a very long time to do that background, but it was so meditative. It's like I would just take this book and 3 pens to work and just work on it. It was so much fun. Just, whenever I had downtime, just do a couple leaves. I loved it, loved it, loved it. And then I knew I wanted some gold accent. And then I had this idea of the pink and yellow monkeys, or pink and gold monkeys. I was having a hard time deciding. And while I was deciding, I thought, but if I do that, what color should their little hats be? And these hats were very doodle-rific. They had lots of doodles in them. And so I just took black acrylic and went over them and made them black. I thought that looked pretty good. But then I thought the page kind of needed some more black to balance that out. So I made these, I don't know if they were sticks from the fronds or what. I think they looked like little wands or something. I did them in the black Sakura glaze pen but this was before I got some new ones. So they were running out. So they're not too glaze-like. They're just sort of shiny. And then the monkeys, I took some black and gave them all some outline, some eyeliner. And then the color themselves is Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils with polys on top. And I have to say, by this monkey, I was tired of pencils. So the last few that look a slightly different colors are done with oil pastels, which was so much faster, but they are slightly different colored. I couldn't replicate the colors exactly. And to tell you the truth, between this orange pink red and this magenta pink red, I like the magenta better. I like the Albrecht Dürers better. I like that color, but I was never going to finish this page if I kept doing it in pencil. But I mean, this page is something I really, really enjoy. And this is the kind of thing that I'm finding that I'm just become completely addicted to, is looking at patterns like this and sussing out what I want to show and what I don't want to show. And, figuring like this really calls to me, like, what can I do with this? It's a altered page altered page palooza. This one I really want to do. I think this is the next one I'm going to do. It's I want to do it in like Aboriginal colors, even though those animals might not be in Australia, but I like the background. But yeah, this is a stunning, stunning book, I think. And it's extremely great paper. It'll take pretty much anything. Even though it's two-sided, it'll take anything. And I think this is this Macmillan? Silver Dolphin. Yeah, I didn't know who the publishers were, but just love it. So you'll see more coming from this book. In fact, you'd see another one in April if I didn't have so many whips to finish. And I hope you like it. It's just all the same. Shimmery monkeys. Labor of love, but it really wasn't that hard. It was actually fun all the way through. All right, that's the Jungle Book. All right, this beautiful book. I am in a Mouse Guard coloring book group. If you are interested in joining us, I can put you in touch with those that are in charge of that group. And it's on Instagram. It's an Instagram book, Instagram group, chat group. And we pick a page out now and then. Sometimes we go a few months at a time. Other times we skip months, just when everybody's feeling it. And whoever feels like picking a page does. It's very loosey-goosey, but I've learned so much about coloring in this book from that group, and I absolutely love this book. So it's a lot of fun. And these pages go really fast because there's so much shading done for you. So the previous one we had done was we had done this in a previous month, but we did this one this month with the snaily whaley. Okay, I used Inktense blocks for this, and I took other things because I did this at work one day, and I took other things to work with, but I really just liked using the one medium. So this was Inktense blocks, and then Faber-Castell watercolor crayons. So there were some colors that I couldn't get with Inktense, like I think, it's this bright blue, some of his clothing, and his fur. No. Yes. His fur was those watercolor crayons. I took a couple of shades of gray and a white, and I just sort of got them really wet and kind of put them together. And as crayons, they mush together. Now, they're not Crayola crayons. These are fancier, they're watercolor crayons made by Faber-Castell. But I really liked what it did to his fur, and I'm going to do that again, use that combo again. Because it just, without having to do anything to it, it really does look like soft fur. And I had fun with this page. This was a lot of fun. I went very simple. There's no pencil shading. There's no nothing. It's just Inktense. I tried to shade as much as I could with the Inktense to give it some depth, but most of the shading was already there from the illustrator. And that's what I did. That's Silinawe. He is on an adventure. I haven't read the graphic novel that this image shows up in. Neither one of these have I read. I've read a couple of the graphic novels, and these two scenes weren't in either one of those. But I do want to someday read them all. And this was just a whole lot of fun. This paper takes wet medium so well. I mean, this was all water-based markers, and that's it. Just going anything see-throughs that his shading shows through. That one was so fast and easy. This was water-based markers. This one was a little more involved, but it's a bigger picture. And that was water-based markers, and then polychromos. Looks like I've done a lot of water-based markers with this. But I'm not crazy about water-based markers. I don't like having to fight the streaking all the time. So it was fun just using paint like this. Really fun. And I'm not sure if we've chosen one for April or not. If we are, I may or may not get to it simply because I know we have one chosen for May. And that's probably the next one I'll do. Because April, I need to catch up on other things. So that is Mouse Guard, David Peterson. This book is almost impossible to find, but not totally impossible. I never see it on Mercari, but I do see it on eBay popping up. It's out of print. The ones on eBay, the prices are all over the place, but I think you can find it if you're persistent and just check every day. You can find it for around $40. Sometimes you can find it for less, but I wouldn't pay more than $40, but $40 is about what you're going to find it for. I think I found mine for like $25 though, but whenever I find one that I think is a reasonable price, I do post it. So I'll look out for you if you're interested. And that's Mouse Guard Coloring Book. All right, let me show you another one. Oh, wait, before I show you another one, let me show you what my group did. Here it is. So as you may or may not know, the Mytho books, Mythographics and Mythogorias, are my focus this year. I feel like they are my biggest collection I have, that with the most untouched. So I'm focusing on them this year, and I'm trying to do, well, 3 to 4 a month would be great. And this month I did 4. Did I do 4? I just looked at the number. I did 3. I did 2 Mythographics and 1 Mythogoria. So this was a previously untouched Mythographic. I'm trying to hit those first. And my dear friend Becky, she offered to buddy with me in this book. And we chose the Tara Buddha. And that's this here. So the Tara Buddha, in Buddhism, we don't, although it's practiced differently because humans get involved and, you know, the beauty of a spiritual belief gets kind of warped. But Buddha actually didn't see any difference between men and women in their ability to become enlightened and find peace. And so he just knew at his time he didn't ordain women because it was difficult, because it was ancient India and women were really just treated like property. And he didn't feel like society was ready for it. Most of us think that was a mistake and that he should have, you know, put his big girl panties on and actually got into ordaining women, because since then that's been interpreted as women shouldn't be ordained, which is not the case. That's not what he said at all, we think. It was 2,000 years ago, so who knows. But so there is a lot of misogyny in Buddhism. You'll find it everywhere, including a spiritual practice about peace and love. But Tara Buddha is a female Buddha. And our historical Buddha, you know, we believe everybody has Buddha nature within you, which is just compassion and empathy for others. And but the Buddha is a person who has gone above and beyond and reached some sort of enlightenment and some sort of knowledge, and they can teach it to us. And there's been many. And everyone, you know, agrees or disagrees on who actually is a Buddha. I think Jesus was a Buddha. I think Gandhi was a Buddha. I mean, all the great teachers I think were Buddhas, but in the traditional sense, the Tara was a female Buddha. She was an actual person and a female Buddha, but she was said for some reason to be green, which we love our colors and our mythology in Buddhism. So she's depicted as a green woman, and she is a Buddha of compassion and medicine and healing. And I always love her stories. Now, snakes are a big thing in Buddhism, because it said they had king cobras in India, and it said that the king cobras wouldn't harm the Buddha. Instead, they would shelter him. They would leer over him and protect him. So that's why these aren't cobras, but you'll often see snakes in Buddhism, because supposedly, you know, Buddha could tame animals. I mean, his legend he's gone from being just a regular Joe Blow, a guy who learned a few things, to some sort of superhuman god, but that's what humans do, right? He wasn't a god, but he does have an affinity for snakes, so that's in there. The lotus leaf, everything, you know, it's just a really beautiful page. So this is how I interpreted it. I don't know Buddhist art very well. I haven't studied a lot of it. When I see it, I'm like, oh, that's Buddhist art. But I've never paid attention to what makes it Buddhist art. There's, you know, the colors. I know they use a lot of red, a lot of orange. So I was just thinking, well, I need to throw in some bright gaudiness in there, because, man, are we gaudy. So I just threw this lime yellow in there and the pink, to keep it from being too realistic and to keep it in that sort of like artsy realm. And then I made the snakes as realistic as I could. Now this, I used a few things. Yeah, I used soft color and Prisma pencils. And I used acrylic. There's a lot of acrylic in here. And those were acrylic pens. I used gel crayons, Tim Holtz gel crayons, which is probably how I got this snaky looking like that. Those are gel crayons. There's some of the Languo gel pens going over all of the lines. And then this shimmery stuff are these metallic watercolors that I got off of Temu that are, you know, not very good. But they work great for something like this. They're so thin that I actually colored and then put them on top of the color just to give the color some shine. And then, of course, super golden markers for all the bling on Tara. But I just thought this was really fun. And it took me a bit because I didn't know what I was doing. And it made me want to study Buddhist art more so that I could make something like this look actually like it was, you know, painted by monks so long ago. But so that's my green Tara. Now, future telling, an interesting fact is that it has been said and sort of believed that the next Buddha who comes will be a woman. That's kind of interesting. We could use a calm, peaceful, powerful woman right now, I think. Yes. Anyway, let me show you Becky's. Becky's is absolutely stunning. I really, really love what she did. It was so fun to do this. I was really glad she went along with me on this because I just felt like I needed to do this page first before I did any others. This book is phenomenal. I absolutely love this book, and I cannot believe it's been untouched all this time. So it was fun to do this one. And when I saw Becky's, I was like, whoa, that is gorgeous. So I'm glad she was inspired too. I don't think she's a Buddhist, but she was definitely inspired by the page and really tapped some creative genius there. So thank you, Becky, so much for doing this with me. I love teaming with you, buddying up with you. It's all so good, so good. And yes, I can't wait to get back to this book. This book is a lot of fun. I'm trying to get into all my untouched mythographics before I go back to ones that I've already done. And this is Alessandra Fusi. This was sort of like the first one she did where I was like, oh, she can draw for us colorists. These aren't so crazy. Her first ones were like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. Oh my God, a turtle with things on its back. This one, I meant to do last Space Timber. I definitely need to do it this Space Timber. I love the astronaut fishing with a planet. I don't know what he's wanting to catch. But this is just such a beautiful book. And I forget about this one in my collection. So thank you, Becky, for working with me on this and getting me in this fabulous book. Okay, my second mythographic that I did this month was Out of Imagine. Now, this was not an untouched book. This is by Joseph Kattenbang and has those hidden objects. This book is so much thicker than Shangri-La and heavier. And yes, because of the hidden objects, there's those pages in the back that show you where the hidden objects are. But this is also back when their paper was much thicker. Mythographic changed their paper, and it's thinner now than it was. It's almost cardstock in this book. This is the page that I had done quite a while ago, a couple years ago, actually. And this is just alcohol markers, and it looks like that's about it. But, and I always liked this page, but I had forgotten I'd done it, so I thought this was an untouched book. And then Yolanda, a coloring biker mama, picked a page out of this to do, and it was my favorite page in the book. So I got a hold of her and I said, oh my gosh, I have to buddy this with you. It's my very favorite page in this whole book. And so she did, never letting me know that she'd never done a mythographic before. And this was her first page. She'd always been scared to do them. She has all the mythographics. I assumed she'd done them before. And let me show you what she came up with. Now, this is what she came up with. That does not look like someone who's scared of the page. That is freaking phenomenal. It's so cool. That swamp frog thing and the fairy riding him is just, this is my favorite page, and she just knocked it out of the park. And so I told her that, and I watched her finished pages video, and she said that's when I really found out that this was her first mythographic ever, and that now she's not afraid to tackle it. I just think she did a superb job, and she had a really good point. So her point in her video was that these pages on first glance do look intimidating, but just start with one element. And I usually start with the biggest element, which is often the sky or the trees or the water. Try to knock that out and get down, whittle your way down to the main focus. And that helps you carve out what things are on the page. It's kind of like a color by number that you don't know what it really is, I think. I think it's kind of fun. It's a discovery. So thank you, Yolanda, for buddying me and for accepting me as your buddy. And I'm so honored that this was your first mythographic and you did it with me. And I hope we do a lot more because, wow, you really challenged me. So I saw hers and I was like, holy cow, I got to step mine up because I kind of did mine at the end of the month. But I knew I wanted to make it spooky. So here's what I did. And I think we both pretty much went kind of to the spooky side. But I made mine at night. And I tend to always want to make swamps glowing around whatever's in the swamp. And I don't always pull it off. So I try it over and over and over again. I think this one worked and I like it a lot. This is all Neocolors too. Now I have been struggling with them. I found Amazon was having a sale and had them for a good price. So I got a set, and they're a lot like the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils. They melt, melt in water a little bit easier, but they also are kind of like an oil pastel that they can be really thick. And so I've been too heavy-handed with them, and some of the pages I've used them on have turned out to be just disasters. So I've been determined though to use them, and I really wanted something opaque for around the edges because I want it to be dark and just be focusing on this part. And so that's what I used. I put them on little by little because I've overdone it so many times on other pages now. And they were so easy to work with. And I used them like I use the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils, which a video on that is coming out. Thank you to viewer requests. And they just worked like paint, and I loved it. I thought it worked out really, really well. The only other thing on here is Super Golden Marker Green for her hair and Lango gel pens to cover up some lines. But it's all Neocolors too. And once I discovered that I could actually use them without making a gigantic mess, yeah, that's opened up some doors. This went pretty fast using those things. So I'm going to be using them a lot. Them and the Tim Holtz watercolor pencils and the Tim Holtz gel crayons. Those are sort of my favorite things now. And they go really fast. I didn't use any alcohol marker, which I usually do in these. But I just wanted to see if I could knock it out with some water mediums. Yeah, so I really like this one. And I think this one and the Jungle Book Monkey ones are my favorite for the month. I think he's just scary enough. I did do the frog last, and I didn't know what color to make him, so I went into some of my chat groups and posted this and asked, and I got some great feedback. That's another fun way to use groups that you're in. It's like post a page, say, I'm stuck. The first thing I would recommend is take a picture of it and then sleep on it overnight, and then look at the picture the next day. Often it pops out to you what it needs. For some reason, looking at the page itself, you don't see what it needs, but if you look at a picture of the page, I don't know why, but usually the problem just goes, bah, 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 looky here, and you can fix it. If you're still stuck, which I didn't know what to do with the frog thing, whatever that is. I went to some chat groups that I knew were open to me posting stuff outside of the book we were working on, and just asked people that I respect and admire. And I got a lot of great feedback. The ombre look was suggested, which I had not even thought of. Adding some purples in there was suggested. Red. Yeah. And actually the butterflies were the very last thing because I wanted to make the butterflies sort of match the frog. And so I had to figure out what the frog was first. And I love it. I think it turned out really well. So thank you again, Yolanda, and everybody Check out that finished pages videos of her. She did a lot of beautiful stuff. Okay, let's look at another one. All righty. Jim Henson's Dark Crystal, The Muppets. I love this book so much. I don't remember the movie very well, but I sure love this book. And the moment after I finished filming the flip, I knew I had to just keep it open and color in it. So I picked a page that I even commented in the video that I saw as being, I think, purple. I think I mentioned that. And I did this. Now this is done with Neocolor 2s again. I was feeling confident about the Neocolor 2s. And it's got some oil pastels in there on top. I really wanted to make it look misty and dreamy and kind of mysterious. So nothing up here is defined. Although I did start to make it defined, and I put some Language gel pens outlining the lines up there, but then I took some oil pastel and went over the whole thing. So, or pastels. I think it was, well, yep, nope, it was oil pastels. Although I do have a question mark by it, because it's very, very thin layer if it was. But you can see how I'm really splotchy with my Neocolors too. Still not great with it. Was going to go in and clean and straighten that out. And then I was like, I kind of just like it like that. It gives the trees some texture. So, hey, it's now a thing. And then these pastels here just made everything misty. I decided after I outlined everything that I really actually wanted it all to kind of just blend away. Like this flutist is sitting here playing their flute, I think it is, and just on a misty morning along a pink river in a purple forest. And this is all Neocolors 2s. And I know, and I didn't write it down, but there is some Tim Holtz gel crayon in here too, because I recognize that color. This one was fairly easy. The only thing that took me any time was getting the right colors. Because sometimes I would like I did all the green. I was like, oh, I didn't like the color green. So I went over it with more greens and more greens to make it look better. I did like the pink trees. It's just very loosey-goosey, and I really liked it. Even this character is done in Neocolor 2. So the shading is already there. Like this line was already there, and that dark hair was already there. I just colored over it. So it's a pretty easy book to color. And these music notes were already there. And I really like this one. I really do. It came out exactly the way I saw it in my head, which is so weird when that happens, isn't it? This book, and this page is by Dylan Burnett. This book is all different artists. Oh, this makes me want to get into it right away again. It is such a good book. Single-sided, fantastic paper. Why are all coloring books not like this? I would deal with half the amount of pages to get them single-sided and on good paper, because we never color a 100-page book anyway. Oh my gosh, so much fun. This book is just phenomenal. Now, I bought this used. Yeah, I got this off of Mercari. And this is Archaea Printing Company, and it's in 2018. I don't know. I don't recognize Archaea. But wow, I now want every coloring book they've ever made, because this paper is just phenomenon. And look at all phenomenal. And look at all that's that character again. I like that character. I don't remember this movie. I need to watch it, but it doesn't matter. I can make these any color I want. Love it. Absolutely love this book. Oh, it's one of my favorites in the collection. So that's The Dark Crystal by Jim Henson, and a whole bunch of different artists. Lots of different artists. This is the other one I thought about doing first. I'm glad I did the one I did, though. I love that. All right, I have two more. Okay, I only have one more left. The one I was thinking of isn't quite finished yet. So it's added to my April stash. My April coloring plans, which will be coming out pretty quick, is nothing but catch-up and a few things that I've committed to monthly. So this is one of my A Coloring Classic books. I'm putting together all of these A Coloring a Classic, Coloring the Classics, all these 10 by 10 classic coloring books. I'm putting them together right now. I was just gathering some more together for a video showing you them because, oh, I love these so much. They are always really good paper, although they're double-sided. They're printed really good, and this is by Doubleday. Doubleday does the Coloring Classics. The Macmillan books, all of them are just like, just stunning. And I'll flip through them in that video, but I wanted to show you as I've never read The Wuthering Heights, but I know this page from the Kate Bush song, Wuthering Heights. She sings about this, about letting her in through the window. And I have done this side, and I have not quite finished this side. So I'm counting this as one page finished. As soon as I finish this one, then this was just a lot of work, and I really got tired and didn't want to do books. So I'll get to it in April and finish this double page spread out. But this is, I'm really, really happy with this page. There's a lot on here, mostly acrylic paint pens. So everything around here, including her hair has got the Language gel pens in it. And then everything around here is acrylic paint pens. The tree is Language gel pens. See, you can do more with them than just cover lines. You can color with them, and I do. These clouds were a happy accident. Wow, they look real. They're just acrylic paint pens put on with a brush. So pens like Posca and Tule actually have really good formulated paint in there. They're the best. I haven't found any other acrylic paint markers that had as good of paint in there. Now, the delivery system, you know, sometimes annoys people, but the paint is fantastic. So when I have things that I want to color where I have a nib that's too big, or I want a different look to it, I will shake and I will take a palette and I will push down the nib and let some paint run out and pool. And then I put it on with a paintbrush. I just take a paintbrush, use the palette, and paint with the acrylic paint. And I find that the paint is better than the paint like in my Apple Barrel acrylic paints. So I like this paint better. It's smoother, it's prettier colors, it goes on better. So probably not the most affordable way to get acrylic paint and use it, but if you've got it, why not use it? I don't, you know, this is a white and a gray acrylic paint that I actually painted on, like paint. And it just turned out really nice. Just the composition of that paint's so nice. And then this is some of that weird Temu metallic paint. And you can see that it's a flash paint that flashes a different color. So it's red, but then it flashes kind of a green-blue. It doesn't go on smooth. It goes on very splotchy. And I might have been able to get it smooth eventually. But this paper is pretty smooth, so I think paint's just going to kind of do that too. Watercolor paint will. And actually, once I got it on there, my Red Moon, I really liked. I liked it splotchy like that. So I didn't bother with the second coat. I thought that was cool. You know, you just got to try new stuff, and often your happy accidents will happen. And so then I did the same in the background. I used, I think that's just some gray paint of some sort that I did the same sort of splotchy effect with. And then all the rest is acrylic paint pens, including some super golden markers for the gold. Yeah, and I just really, even her skin is, because I had some skin colored acrylic paint pens. I had the Tule Art skin set and the Posca skin set. So I just found the color that I liked and then used the paint in it, not because I could never use those pens and get into these tiny little places. So I just pushed the nib down, got some paint out, used a paintbrush, and painted that all in there. And then I used Language gel pens to go back over the lines and give her some definition. But what do you think? I really like this one. This one was, I knew I wanted this to be the first one out of this book. I knew I wanted it to be rich golden wood, look like it's rich golden wood, and I wanted the curtains to look like they were rich, because he was wealthy. Heathcliff was wealthy. And Christine is, or Kathleen, Catherine is extremely wild and unpredictable. So this book is beautiful. It's just so beautiful. I think it's illustrated by Shelley Carroll, right? No, Elizabeth Stoinich from Milan. This is the same series as Dracula, Pride and Prejudice, Romeo and Juliet, and I have Dracula. I'm in the process of getting Romeo and Juliet as soon as I can find a good copy. I buy all these used because you can find them, always find them used. It's just, I love this one too, Catherine. Yeah, it's just, I love this stuff, this patterny stuff. You can do so much to it. This one's cool, of Heathcliff. Anyway, fun book. And this will be part of that video showing all of my books that are like this. The double-sided, really good paper based on a classic. Okay, let's wrap this up. Okay, so this was a fun month for me. It's the first month that I failed in getting several buddies done. I usually don't even have one that I miss. I always prioritize buddies. However, I received so many wonderful books this month that I got sidetracked a lot. So I worked in a lot of stuff that wasn't buddies. So I've moved everything to April, and I'm just going to get caught up in April. But I did do 21 pages. Now, one of those you didn't see because one of those is the Haunted High Rise. Number 2, the mystery number 2. It's done. It's finished. It's just waiting for me to edit the voiceover, and then I can put it up. So I didn't want to show you ahead of time because this is something we do together, try to figure out the murder. I had 8 buddies that I finished, which is a good amount, but not as many as I wanted to finish. And I worked on a 10 out of these 21. I had 10 untouched books. So I'm still tackling those untouched books. Now, the Mythogoria, Mythographics, I had done 4 up into March of Mythogorias and 6 Mythographics. I did 1 Mythogoria and 2 Mythographics. So that leaves me with a total of 5 Mythogorias so far for the year and 8 Mythographics, which is 12 total, which is great for 3 months. I am averaging 4 a month. So, yes, so that's good. I'm getting into those books and getting them touched, and I really am enjoying it. And it's an opportunity for more buddies because a lot of you like Mythographics and Mythogorias too. Plus a lot of opportunity to reach, to do hashtags because there's so many hashtags on those books. So thank you very much for being here with my little video today and for seeing all my all my finished pages and my untouched books and everything else. And I hope you really enjoyed it. Let me know if any of these pages you really liked, and if you have any of these books, because some of these books were brand new to me. And I hope that you have a wonderful evening of coloring, and I'll see you in the next one. I love you. Bye-bye.